everyone. Welcome to Next Level Humanity podcast. Again, I have a very dear guest, Alexei Dunaway. He's a brilliant founder. I am hugely interested in his company and what he's doing because, as you know, I've been teaching self-mastery for over 25 years. I've been on stage speaking about the importance of coaching, mentoring, and they created an AI version of what we've been doing. So, Alex, maybe you can start by introducing yourself, and then we'll then talk a little bit about your company, Hey Pinnacle.
Nevşah, it's such a pleasure to join you here, particularly with your background in coaching. That was my background too, actually. I've been a coach for about 6 years to growth stage technology executives and realized there was a better way to do this and a more scalable way to do this. Obviously, coaching is incredibly costly often and unaffordable for a lot of folks that aren't the founder, that aren't the CEO, that aren't the C-suite. And so what we cared about and what I'm excited to tell you a little bit about is how do we give access to the same level of personalized support and development to everyone else across the company. And it turns out AI can do that and actually, in the process, redefine a little bit what good coaching can be and what good coaching can look like.
I mean, that's awesome. I'm just thrilled with the project, and I know that there are other versions, like there are other companies interested in this topic. I've been hearing my students, and I've been hearing the people I'm connected with. They're asking me to build an AI version of myself who can mentor, and I think where we are heading is maybe some personalized versions as well of, different coaches maybe around the world, because we have different characteristics and different ways of coaching people. So what I'm going to ask you is, how did you build the product? Did you build it with, using the already existing AI systems, ChatGPT? Are you creating a different algorithm? And where are you at the technology?
That's a long. It'll take a lot to answer that question, but the short end of it is Pascal looks like one entity. So Pascal's our coach, and he's available to all of our users in Slack, in Teams, in meetings. Provides you real-time feedback immediately after a meeting. Does summaries on a daily, weekly basis. And then you can debrief the meeting with him. You can chat with him at any time. You can talk to him with your voice as well.
And he's probably asking strong questions all the time and helping you move forward and helping you get clear on your goals and everything. So maybe for people who haven't done, we're just thinking everybody got a coaching session or two, but people usually don't know much about coaching. What is very impressive for me, because I've been coaching people and mentoring and coaching myself for over 25 years. So it's very interesting for me when I hear that, but people sometimes do not understand the importance of coaching. So I think it's important to explain that as well. Like, how will they benefit from Pascal and how will they benefit from your product?
So I think like you, I'm a certified coach and have always abided by ICF, the International Coach Federation, rules and training, and that's sort of where I got my start. What we have learned is Pascal what people are looking for and what Pascal can offer is ultimately something slightly different than traditional ICF style coaching that is only powerful questions. And what it comes from is a couple of key insights. One is I started to hear among my coaching clients, what I really wish you could do is just follow me around all day and tell me what I need to work on and just give me the level of insight that comes from being with me on a more ongoing basis. I think, Nevşah, you and I both know that coaching conversations, we have only what the person brings to the conversation and we miss their blind spots. And as coaches, we believe that they have all the answers to their own challenges, right? It's only about elucidating or sort of pulling that out of people. And with what AI can offer that just has historically been unavailable because of the cost of time is that Pascal actually can be with you. And so because of that, he can offer a much more conversational style of support that is a blend sort of the traditional.
So it's kind of like
style.
Our pocket coach.
And also give you some really good and really meaningful advice. He's totally reshaped how I sell because he's in all of my sales conversations. He's totally reshaped how I lead. And I've been a coach for a number of years already. And so I Karen think about this a lot, but I have found myself shifting because I am not aware of my own blind spots almost by definition. And Pascal is surfacing that to me and helping me process and figure out how to move forward.
Yeah, so I have two questions about that. The first thing is, I mean, it's just brilliant to have the coach with you the whole time. That is what most people need. And even I myself as a coach, and I usually tell my students and people I'm connected with, the quality of your life depends on the quality of the questions you ask for yourself, and that's what coaching is all about. But then when it comes to, asking yourself questions, it's like having a coach with you the whole time. It's a no-brainer. It's a brilliant idea. And Pascal is probably recording the whole thing, right? Because as a coach, if I see 50 clients a month, it is almost at one point, as a human, it is impossible to track what we spoke about and what's going on. But the brilliant thing about, AI and Pascal, he records, he eats whatever, records the whole thing and learns about me and then develops from there. Like he knows what I did last week, and it's kind of like this. Is it? That's one question. Like it is probably like that, but it's like this ongoing growth journey, probably. So what's going on there? What are the client feedbacks of working with AI, who knows more and more and more about yourself, your pain points, and maybe your dark spots, or maybe your, the way you postpone things, and it's just brilliant. I mean, it learns and it remembers, and it,
What is really interesting is, so I don't know about you, but when I'm in a conversation with my team, I pay attention to the topic that we're discussing, right? Whatever problem we're trying to solve, whatever is on the horizon, on the agenda. I am not always paying 100% attention to all the dynamics in the room, particularly if that is a team meeting and there's 8 people, right? I'm paying attention to how are we solving this. As a coach, I pay a little bit of extra attention to that, but I think most people are just sort of dialed into the conversation itself. Pascal, however, pays attention to all the dynamics in the room. So not only does he know and remember who you are over time and what you talked about and your strengths and weaknesses, and can spot some of the stuff that you yourself can't, he also knows all the dynamics that are on your team, right? And this is typically done in a work setting. And so what that means is that when I am thinking about, all right, Sally on my team is really frustrating me, how do I move forward? Well, immediately Pascal knows about Sally. He knows about, Sally's dynamic with me, with others. Sally tends to stay quiet in these settings. She tends to be a little bit defensive here. She tends to like this style of communication, and then can surface that to me in a productive way that are things that I might have missed or that just weren't top of mind. And so that it makes my preparation for whatever conversation I need to have with Sally much more effective. And then of course Pascal's with me in the conversation, and so can afterwards tell me, hey Alexei, these are the things that landed really well, and here's a miss. Here's something that you can work on. And so it is that constant growth program, because great. So now he's given me new feedback. Now he can track whether I have followed the feedback that he has given me. And so I can then debrief that call with him, figure out, okay, here's how I'm going to approach this next time. And then the next feedback conversation I'm in, he can participate in as well and be like, hey, you really changed in XYZ ways. I really appreciate that you've made all this progress. Here's still something next. And I sort of believe that we all are on our developmental journey. None of us is perfect. We're all in this incremental growth process. And we sometimes, aspirationally want to do things that we don't actually always do in practice. And so Pascal is that sort of constant nudge to help you at that next step, at, I guess, each step. Yeah,
I mean, one of my company's slogans, Nevşah Institute, which I'm the founder, CEO, and the master teacher of, which is a self-mastery school, is Next Level Humans. So this is leading us to next level of humanity, like the name of this podcast, Next Level Humanity. You just don't have a choice. You have to grow and expand, and because it's just there, it's just available. And then the other question, and what fascinates me with AI is, neurologically, the process speed of our brain is really slow when compared to AI. And when you look at the speed, the process speed, and how it gathers information from millions and millions of different places, that is just it's definitely impossible with a human coach. So how does Pascal help us with that, like with its connection?
I mean, think about as a coach in a professional setting, how much more your coaching would be amplified if you also had access to that person's performance reviews for the past 3 or 5 years, or last 2 cycles? How much would it be amplified if you knew a priori and at first their career aspirations? How much would it be advanced if you were witnessing every single conversation they were in, right? And so those are some of the data sources that ultimately we're pulling on. And so Pascal will, by default, sort of obviously interact differently for a sales leader than he will for a IC or individual contributor engineer, because those roles are very different. But he also will act very differently for each sales leader based on their unique things. So it is this sort of integration and pulling together of massive amounts of data. And you sort of asked me earlier, how is this built? The reality is, although Pascal looks like one entity, there's a large orchestration of AI agents in the background that are running around sourcing different pieces of information, synthesizing it, combining it, and offering it up to you in different ways to create this really customized personal feel that fundamentally just feels very different than you would get from a general LLM, a large language model, even one that is trained with that same data. ChatGPT is not in all of your meetings. It doesn't have the level of synthesis that everything else does that will provide this value.
Yeah, so it is with us in our meetings, and it's basically everything we do is recorded if we want, and we have a helping hand.
Which I think can sound a little creepy at times, but if this is the frame you brought in, obviously you run the Next Level Human Institute. Part of this is it's sort of about how and where you use the data, right? And so the reality is, like, we're not training anything on this data. This data is not going to anyone else. The complaints to Pascal about your boss aren't going to your boss. They're not going to HR. It is only for you to grow and develop. And ultimately, it is making human interactions stronger, right? Because work that we do is often in groups. We're coordinating decisions, coordinating decisions, brainstorming, whatever. And Pascal is on each side of it, the human interaction, making those humans work together more effectively with each other. And in some ways, it's sort of an interesting idea or question. How much can AI unlock and enable humans to be more human in a really meaningful way? Because I think that's on one hand, that's exactly what's happening. There's obviously performance components to this, and it is driving results as people lead their teams more effectively. But it is also they lead their teams effectively by being better leaders with other people.
Yeah, it's just so exciting. And for me, it's really exciting because I've been committed to helping humans get to the next level of their humanity for over 25 years. And this is just what's happening around the world is just amazing. So you do have co-founders and you do have a team. And shall we talk a little bit about your team and where you are? And also, I'm gonna ask you a question. What has been your biggest challenge? Because we have a lot of entrepreneurs listening to us and investors listening to us. Entrepreneurs usually, especially first-time entrepreneurs, as you know, are usually interested in, what were the challenges they faced and how did they overcome those challenges? And being a coach, you probably have a lot of examples, a lot of teachings actually, and messages for people who are listening and watching us right now.
So I'm actually a solo founder, which was not my preference.
I didn't know. I thought you had one co-founder. Okay.
Doing this again, I would have. I actually had a co-founder at one point who had some health issues, and so was at very early stages was unable to be part of the business long term. I wouldn't do it again. Go find a co-founder. It's hard, but I've hired really incredible people. And I'm really grateful for everyone who's been on the team. We've just assembled really mission aligned, deeply passionate, deeply curious, hardworking people that like are genuinely good humans and that I like working with, that like working with each other. We have a really open culture, and all these things mattered to me, and I sort of looked for them explicitly in hiring. And I couldn't do anything that we do without all the people that we've brought around. I sort of have maybe been the spark that led us here, but even as we grow, like so much has been the result. I can't explain how important everyone else on this journey has been, and not only investors too, and and honestly, the thing that has unlocked our success, I think more than anything, is my penchant to ask for a whole lot of help from people that are my customers. And not specifically my customers, although I do ask for help from them. But I've built sort of a community of advisors and guides. We sell to heads of HR. And so I talk to and have connected very deeply with a large community of HR leaders. And that's been such a source of knowledge, inspiration, things to avoid. It's been really helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure. So right now, how many people are using Pascal as their coach?
So we're deployed across 9 companies and are actively deploying another dozen over the course of the next month or two. And these are companies from a few hundred people up to several thousand.
So we're talking about a couple of thousand people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Amazing. Is Pascal enjoying himself?
I think so. He's very friendly, and so he seems to, and rather the word that comes to mind is indefatigable. Doesn't get tired of having the same conversation over and over, I guess. Better than I can say for myself.
This is so much fun. I mean, this is brilliant. So what have been the biggest challenge you faced with your company or your team? Or
Getting to where we are was a challenge, and we certainly took a few missteps along the way before landing on the product that we did. I mean, it was all sort of in the space of how do we deliver effective personalized development at scale.
And you did start B2B right from the start, right?
Yeah,
we started B2C, B2B, because that's
And I would say that we leaned in a little bit to old paradigms too quickly. I sort of initially copied things that I saw elsewhere versus rethinking what was possible with new technology. And we got there, and other people reached the same conclusion. We're not the only AI coaching company. I think we're the coolest, but obviously I'm biased. I think that was one challenge of spending time and energy pursuing the wrong thing, because I was getting advice from buyers who weren't actually serious about buying, and I think choosing who you talk to and get feedback from, there's so much about talking to users and talking to buyers and everything, and figuring out who the actual buyer is early, not just anyone that looks like your buyer, and figuring out signs of seriousness of purchase intent, and then using that to screen who you listen to is actually pretty important. Because if you don't do that, you get information that is not super helpful. Because
you're getting information. You're not getting information from your target audience, but from elsewhere. It's kind of it can lead to more challenges.
And so that was one mistake. I mean, the other challenge has been AI coaching is new to the world. Coaching has some established patterns, but AI coaching does not. And I think we're in a wave of AI adoption that is incredible, right? So 800 million people last month were using ChatGPT monthly across the globe. That's 15% of the global working age population that is using this on a monthly basis. There is such transformation that it is resetting or identifying new habits and figuring out how you plug in to build a product that is really engaging. And so there's user expectation there in terms of how do you set up expectations in a way where people can understand what the greatest value is. Better onboarding so that people learn that quickly rather than just presenting them with like an open box on a screen where they don't know quite what to do. You have to sort of guide people into finding the greatest amount of value. And so we've really spent a lot of time recently on how do we refine that experience so that people can experience an aha moment really quickly. And I will say full credit on that goes to our head of product and engineering, Charles, who's been a fantastic leader in helping me see and unpack that. And when you hire people that are smarter than you and you listen to them, good things happen.
Yeah. Product, I mean, for a product like this, product is, I think, most important for every company, though.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of competitors on this platform. And would you call the market a blue market or a red market right now? Is it still blue or is it getting red now, competitive-wise?
It feels pretty blue ocean for me.
Yeah.
This is a nascent category of the last year, the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I think it's becoming a category. I think we can now articulate it as a category.
Yeah.
The competition does not scare me. I mean, obviously we have to outshine them in different ways or find a niche or differentiate very clearly, and we do. But
well, that was going to be my next question. How do you differentiate? So, yeah.
And I think ultimately, and I'm happy to talk through that, but ultimately what I see the competition as beneficial because I think we're all in this space of, like, coaching is an established thing, but it is an established thing with humans. And so this paradigm shift towards, hey, AI coaching is something that people will pay for, that is growing, that Fortune 500 companies in the US are using.
Yeah, there needs to be a behavioral change over there.
And all of the use of our competitors is a great proof point that we are going to be successful, right? And it's a great proof point to investors. It's a great proof point to customers that this type of product works, right? You just have to find the right one.
And this is the future of coaching. It's like coaching and mentoring and teaching. We started with Nevşah Institute. We started working on a product where an AI version of Nevşah, because I have my own authentic teaching and hundreds of videos and content and 12 books and all that. So it's like this is the future because it can learn, it can keep on building and creating, and it can even keep on creating when I'm not here on Earth anymore. So that's just brilliant, very exciting, and I think because things are moving fast, it is going to be a red ocean very soon, probably in a year or in a year and a half.
Right.
So how do you differentiate? What's your niche? I
mean, I think the key thing is just paying a ton of attention to customers' needs. And actually, there's this really interesting balance. For a product like ours, it's bought by HR, but it's used by individuals. And so there's like two sets of stakeholders there, and how and who do you balance those two? And we are leaning very heavily into how do we deliver a really incredible experience for our users, because that'll make buyers buy. When you ask about differentiation, we see ourselves as the most contextually aware coach on the market. And so what that means is that we're pulling on all sorts of different sources, including being in every meeting with you and pulling that into every conversation and every thread, so that when you say, hey, like, help me explore this leadership topic, Pascal says, oh, like, I've noticed that could be useful with this dynamic between these two people that I've seen here, right? And I think there's a lot of vendors that are basically putting some coaching principles under an LLM or under ChatGPT and expecting that to be enough. But instead of, role playing, I think is becoming a category as well. Companies will pay for sales role plays or job interview role plays or difficult conversation role plays, what have you. But role playing in the abstract, how do I quote unquote have a difficult conversation, is significantly less useful than how do I talk to Frank tomorrow? Given everything that you know about my communication style, Frank's communication style, the dynamics between us, the other projects that Frank is working on, like, given the specifics and nuances of this individual situation.
So your niche is actually communication.
It ends up being helping people work better together, which I think is a lot of what leadership and management support really comes down to. And it manifests as like, if you ask or think about how do I drive greater productivity, like, okay, well, there's prioritization questions, but there's also like a whole lot of conversations that need to happen in order to get the team to perform at a high level. And how are you showing up in a room?
Where you're differentiating and what you're focusing on is brilliant, because it's like human to human relationships are very challenging because you know yourself, but then the other person, is totally different. It's like they have a different character, human design and designs and all kinds of different habits. And so I think that's just brilliant. Just being able to master our relationships.
I'll plant a seed here at the end, which is really it's interesting and something I've been thinking a lot about, which is if last year was the year of AI chatbots, and this year is the year of AI agents, next year or very soon is the year of AI employees. And so like the signals on that are like Anthropic's CISO, their information security officer, saying, AI employees are going to have their own corporate accounts in a year. You see the AI 2027 paper that just came out sort of documenting this rise of really fully individual capabilities. You see OpenAI saying they will make a quarter of their revenue by the end of next year from fully autonomous AI employees that they're charging $10,000 to $20,000 per month. Now, what that means is for me to pay $250,000 a year for an employee, it better be able to act autonomously. And so what we are going to see, and we're seeing this across sales, across legal, across finance, everything else, a bunch of different AI employees interacting or beginning to have that degree of autonomy, which means that individuals are going to manage these teams of employees, and if they're sufficiently autonomous to cost that much, they're going to be sufficiently autonomous to have differences of opinion, and that you're actually going to need to manage the same dynamics between AIs that we have to manage today in humans. And so each individual employee is also going to be, Microsoft, I don't love this language, but they're calling them agent bosses. We're all going to have teams of agents and AI employees in like a year or two. It's really honestly not very far away. I would say the same thing, and that means that everyone is going to have to learn the people skills functionally, the like productivity, relationship, collaboration skills that have traditionally been the purview of management. It makes these things about how do I relate with others in a way that aligns, in a way that drives togetherness and value and towards a common goal, those become much more important for every single employee, not just for managers or the C-suite.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I agreed, Well, it was lovely speaking to you, Alexei. I learned a lot and my vision expands, keeps on expanding. Thank you very much for your time. All of the information, I'm sure everybody who's listening and watching enjoyed as much as I did. Do you have any last message to add?
Because this is a bunch of founders, and maybe I'll say this to the founders: just keep going. Like eventually, if you refuse to give up,
eventually you arrive somewhere.
Eventually you arrive somewhere.
You arrive somewhere.
And like, build in a way that allows you to constantly swap out everything. We're changing our underlying tech stack just constantly.
Yeah, that's the key.
And we've built modularly in a way that allows that basically allows for new models are being put out constantly, and how do you adapt and stay current? You just have to build in a way that will allow that to happen.
Yeah, I just sometimes think startups are just building Lego worlds.
And like across every part of the business too, right? So not just in the
product.
Lego
worlds. You just keep on changing different parts, adding and building, and 100%. Like Lego. Play Lego. Keep on playing Lego.
Keep on playing Legos. Actually, there is a phenomenal article that I'll give credit to First Round from like 5 years ago, which is Give Away Your Legos, which is also a sort of foundational article for me as a leader of like, if you are still building the same Lego blocks every 6 months or playing with the same Lego blocks, you're doing it wrong.
Change.
And it's like, you should be giving to your teams the ability to play with those Legos and finding new Legos to play with. Because it is all Legos, but like, you don't have to stay doing the same. If you are staying doing the same thing, it probably means that you are not moving fast enough, you are not growing fast enough, or your company is not growing fast enough. And your own need to play with those Legos is limiting your ability to be the leader that you need to be to make the company successful.
Thank you.
Nevşah, I really appreciate the conversation.
Great messages. Yeah, me too.
No surprise, but great thought-provoking questions and facilitation of this conversation. So I appreciate that.
Thank you too. Thanks for the answers and deep answers and the messages. Thanks to everyone who's watching and listening, and I will see you in the next episode.